Hello everybody, and welcome back to another product review. We're going to be talking about the Alien RPG today. I didn't mention, but I'm Alex with Slow Your Roll, and today we're going to set our sights on a space adventure into the alien world. First things first, let's go over what do we actually get in the box, and the first thing you're going to notice is going to be dice. 2 sets of 10 6-sided dice, yellow and black. Yellow is going to be our stress dice, and those are very important later. We're also going to be getting a deck of cards, which will have 4 separate things included a part of it. We've got initiative trackers. Initiative tracker cards for me are useless, but I actually made some use of them later. You're also going to get the weapons in here, just to be able to hand that out to the players who might actually have these weapons, and they don't have to do any guesswork. They'll just know immediately what this weapon does and how far. We have a couple of character portraits on here, and on the back we have their details. These characters are the ones that are included within the Chariot of the Gods story. So something I am actually a pretty big fan of, personal agenda cards. And you even get points for following through with these personal agendas, story points, but we can get to that later. These personal agendas are something that could be simple or complex, something like follow company protocol. Get the job done and cash in. Don't do anything to risk your paycheck. Maybe the next run pays better. So just to show a general empathy of the current mission that the person is on, and if the character at your table is able to do that very well, it truly helps to add to roleplay and the story. So I really like these personal agendas, and I might try to incorporate it in my table. Is it really a good starter set if it doesn't include tokens? These tokens just happen to be flat ones, you know how I might feel about those, but they have multiple uses. These tokens here, you can see multiple different peoples, aliens, even items for these here. And on the back, you can see it as a motion sensor or radar. You'll be able to find these on the ship, and you'll just get a blip, and you don't really know what that is. So you gotta go searching through it on the map. And when you finally get there, you can flip that over and whoop. Well, it looks like it's a giant worm about to eat your face. I've seen the Alien movies a couple of times, and I think everybody knows about the face huggers and xenomorphs. But they really do only have 1 page of reference in this book. No stat blocks, unfortunately. They're a little bit bigger monsters that take place farther deep into the universe, and they encourage you to buy the books if you'd like to see what those look like. I personally would have loved if they could have included a stat block for a xenomorph, or maybe a face hugger nest where it could allude to something like that in the future. Or if you just happen to make your own story, you'd be able to plop those right in whenever you'd like. Because let's be honest, that is kind of the reason everybody's here, right? However, I am a fan of these character sheets. We have 5 different characters to pick from, and they're all for the Chariot of the Gods adventure. And on the back of these, you have the character sheet. This is done very well, and I like this little diagram here. This diagram here helps to show how some of your skills are connected to different attributes. So like your strength is connected to heavy machinery, close combat, and stamina. I do, however, think this takes up the entire page of your character sheet, and it might be a little bit nicer to have it in a blurber box somewhere else. Maybe that would help to include just a few more details, or making some of these boxes a little bit bigger. Because I'm sure if you play this for longer than just the one shot, you're gonna fill up that gear slot. Within the box here, we have a map of the galaxy, and this is something that is really cool. You could turn this into a poster if you didn't necessarily want to use these specific ships moving forward. These are the ships for the Chariot of the Gods adventure, but should you make your way past that adventure, you still have the entire galaxy to explore. I really like this one, and I wish I had somewhere to hang this bad boy up. If I figure it out, you guys will see it. I have referenced this one a few times so far, but the Chariot of the Gods is a fairly good story to read through. I haven't played it just yet, but I cannot wait for me and my friends to get our hands on it. If you do read it through, it's a nearly 50-page story, with all the necessary details for ships and crew members too. Some of this stuff might be reiterated from the cards, but it is good to have the cards for quick reference instead of flipping through the book all the time. And last but not least, we're going to be talking about the rule book. And this is how I figured out how to use the initiative cards. No, the initiative cards I'm not necessarily too fond of, especially in a game mechanic aspect, but they are some great bookmarks. A few things I found notable in the Alien franchise. In here we have a timeline, including several of the movies and where we are currently. This would be awesome to just let the players read or even read aloud to everyone as they're trying to get their characters together or introducing the story. In general, when it comes to a starter set, this kind of goes without saying, but you don't have all the rules. They essentially took a 400-page book and smashed it into around 100 pages. But in this RPG, they've classified it between cinematic play and campaign play. Cinematic play being the rules light version within the starter set. Campaign play, with a little bit more long-term goals in mind, giving you different ways to level up and journey through the stars. You don't have a class in this game, you have a career, and that helps to determine some of your attributes and skills. There aren't character creation rules within this book here, which is a shame. I wish some starter sets would include character creation, at least on the smallest bare bones. But moving right on beyond that, we gotta talk about the stress and panic system. This is a really interesting mechanic and pretty innovative. I might even bring this to my table as well. If I'm saying that more than once in a video, you know I'm already impressed with the TTRPG. But the stress and panic system is amazing. If the Dungeon Master calls for a roll and determines it to be a stressful type of roll, you'll add a certain number of stress dice. This actually increases your odds of succeeding in the roll because you could roll correctly with your stress dice, and the more dice you have, the better the outcome becomes. But if you do happen to roll the face hugger, the 1, then you're going to be stuck in a stressful situation. Each character has a stress level, and this stress level will whittle away throughout the game. An example of you being in a panic during some of these stressful situations, and I'll say that panic is more or less the condition you're incurred. You more or less lose control of the situation that your character is within. Such if you were firing upon an enemy, you would frantically empty the clip until every last bullet is gone, essentially being a natural 1. And of course, failure comes in many shapes, sizes, and flavors, so it is up to the Game Master's discretion what that's gonna look like. But you do have a chance of failing every roll and increasing your stress level, so I would recommend not to roll too often. But I'll tell you what, when you do roll, you're rolling like 1,000 dice and it feels great. Opposed rolls can be kind of complicated, but I think they could be pretty fun. It's almost like a little minigame where you have to knock out each other's dice with successful rolls until it's essentially a last person standing scenario. Now, I don't really want to go over too many of the mechanics included in this game. 1, I'm not an expert in the game, and I'm probably going to get a little bit of the context wrong if I went into a deep dive. 2, I'm just highlighting some of the coolest things about this game, so that way you guys can bring this to your table, or at least a little bit of it, with the stress mechanics, or maybe even the consumables mechanic. At the end of a stressful scenario, the end of the day, or a certain period of time, your Game Master is going to call for a consumables check. You're going to need to make a supply roll for air, water, food, and power. All of these things really iterating the fact that this is a survival game as well. And this really helps to add tension to certain stories. So if you know that your character is low on air, you might not be the first person to go in front. That last gasp there could actually be your last gasp. And yes, a decent amount of these things are determined by the dice as well. Surely if you're playing more than a one-shot, a rest will probably refill your supplies. But if you don't have that rest, things around the table will get dire. All in all, I really liked my read-through of the Alien TTRPG. I'd get rid of initiative cards in favor of maybe some more guns, and there was a decent amount of bloat in the books as far as things that were already provided to you. But all in all, I can't recommend this enough. If you're a sci-fi fan, or just a fan of the Alien franchise, you will have a lot of fun diving into this here. You'll definitely feel like you're right at home on the ship in the Alien franchise. Don't forget that's a horror. I really feel like there is so much to be said about this game, and I could probably go on for 25 more minutes, but I doubt that'd work very well for YouTube. Please leave in the comments what I should review next. I'm thinking maybe City of the Mist? And that means I'll just do it unless I get some just suggestions. However, we do have a few things to finish off with. We've got our last box of Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and we've yet to pull anything big out of these things, unfortunately. So our final box of Wild Beyond the Witchlight is going to be a snail. Very peculiar choice, I guess. It looks pretty. I like the rainbow iridescentness of it. It's like the baby version of this thing here. And man, oh man, did they need to stop making dancers. Look how bent that is. Basically falling off. But every time I've gotten a dancer, they've never been able to stand up straight. And how often does dancer come into your D&D games? Please let me know down in the comments, because it's never happened in any of mine. This is a cute little guy. Totally going to be really hard to show up on the camera, but a friggin' doc, and he's got a little blue flame behind him. Really, really nice. It's almost like a little pig man, little green pig man. And the cutest thing I've seen in a very long time, we have a baby displacer beast. I really, really hope that shows up in the white box. That was really cool, but let's move on to the Mogwai Expanse. I do like the nature theme of the Mogwai Expanse, but they haven't been hitting very hard either. Until today, oh my gosh, we just got ourselves a treant to go with our gigantic treant in the back. Hopefully the camera's picking that one up. But whoa, I would love to get a bunch more of that. Yes, please. And as for the little ones, we have a Copper Man, essentially a construct, which I pretty much am in love with. I've only got like 4 or 5 constructs. This is an intimidating piece here, and it's pretty solid. They call it the Black Heron, but I would totally use this as like a freaky bird wizard type of guy. And next up we have a cat. It's essentially, I want to say a large cat, but it's supposed to be a house cat. And that's it, everybody. If you liked today's video, make sure to like, comment, or subscribe. Give Alien a try, and check out the merch down below. But until next time, we'll see you later.